Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Shit's Hard. I'm your host, Amber. And today we are talking about holidays are still hard because I already have an episode out about holidays. And this is my second Christmas after having moved to LA and started the podcast. But this one I am at home. As you can see, if you're watching the video, I'm not in my normal room in Los Angeles. I'm actually in my childhood bedroom, which is lovely. It's actually now my brother's room, so it's much more disgusting than the way that I left it. But we've got the nice turquoise wall, as you can see. That was so popular, like fucking 2014 or whatever the fuck. Someone let me paint my walls. But we're going to be talking about being home for the holidays, leaving home to come home, kind of that weird like feeling. It's like stepping into your past almost. We're going to be talking a lot about answering the dreadful holiday questions from family members, as I'm kind of like anxious and anticipating some of those. And we're also going to talk about like hometown, like nostalgia and kind of like the past version of me and like being here and being a different version of myself. It's like a little bit strange. So let's get into it. It has been quite an interesting week, very busy. I actually was in New York for the weekend, and then I came to Ohio on Monday. For me right now, it's Thursday. No, it's Friday. It's Friday. By the time you guys are listening to this, it'll already past Christmas. But for me, I haven't had Christmas yet, or Christmas Eve is when I go up to Michigan and like see all my family and aunts and uncles and stuff. And so that's kind of when I'm anticipating the questions and stuff. So let's get into the episode. Okay. So we're going to first talk about like outgrowing your hometown, kind of where I'm at with that, how it's a little bit strange being back. I've actually come home and seen my family a lot more this past year than I thought I was going to, arguably more than I saw them when I was in college in Kent. Looking back on this last year, I actually they came to California in May, which is cool. They came to visit. And then my grandpa actually passed in June. So I ended up going home for that. I wasn't really like planning on going home until that had happened. So that wasn't like an anticipated trip home. And then Christmas. So it's been interesting. It's like I've seen them more than I thought I was going to, which is kind of cool. Definitely expensive, but kind of nice. It's weird. It was weird leaving LA to come home. And then now that I'm here, like LA is my home. Being here in my hometown, I'm from Findlay, Ohio, very, very small town. And there's like not a lot going on. The mall is like creepy, like eerie, because it's like so small and like there's nobody there. So I went with my dad the other day to the mall, and just like there's like wings of the mall, like, you know, there's like little like hallways of like shops. There's like straight up like wings of the mall, like a whole hallway that has space for like 10 different businesses, and it's like full on empty. The whole thing is, I'm like, nobody even goes down. It's so weird. It's very creepy. It's interesting though. People are still trying. There's like a few new businesses that people are like moving into the old ones, like trying to keep it alive, I guess. But it's like very, very strange. The only thing there still is like Finish Line and Books A Million and a pretzel place. It's like, it's so weird. But it makes me grateful for Los Angeles. It like reminds me of how good of an idea it was that I left, how glad I am that I left, how secure I am in that decision, and how happy I am to not be living here. Not that it's a bad place to live. It's just definitely not for me. I don't know. The lack of people kind of gives me a creepy feeling. Like last time I came home, I flew into the Columbus airport and it was like dead. There was like no one there. And everyone's like, oh, it's so good. No traffic, no nothing. And I was like, it kind of freaks me out. Like when I go back home to LA next week, I like feel good landing in LAX and getting off the plane. Like there's so many people there. Like it feels like normal. It feels right. There's supposed to be people at the airport. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, airport traffic is like my least favorite thing, but I really don't like it at all when I land at the Cleveland airport. that one's also really small and really weird, and there's nobody there. Freaks me out. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to be back here. I have a lot of friends in Ohio, so it's gonna be nice to like be able to see them and stuff. These are people that I'm not gonna get to see again for another year minimum, maybe. But it's like, I don't feel like I'm missing out because a lot of my friends aren't here anymore either. So a lot of my friends are coming home too. Some of them one of them's been like in Belize, the other one lives in North Carolina now. And even the other two who are in Ohio are like not in Findlay. They're like 2.5 hours south of Findlay. So like, they're not even like in this town. So I'm like waiting for everyone to come back too. So it's like even if I were to come back, it's like, no, not all my people aren't in the same area. Like they're not all in one place. So but I am missing LA just a little bit. It's been not that cold actually in Ohio, which is nice. I brought like 4 coats because everyone was like, you're going to be so cold. And it actually has not been that cold. New York was actually like wonderful. I got so lucky. I think I was there before they got a storm. Like I left the day that it got bad. But I was walking around with like a jacket and I was fine. Like it was amazing. It was perfect. Luckily, I don't have to stick around till I feel like, honestly, February, March is usually the worst in the Midwest. It's like snowy and cold and winds blowing everywhere. So luckily, I won't be here for that. But this has been interesting being home. It's different. This is my first time coming home after the breakup. And I didn't really want to talk about this on this episode, or honestly, I didn't really want to talk about it at all anymore. I felt like for a while on the podcast, I kind of spiraled a little bit and like kept talking about it. And then I started to get anxious and in my head a little bit that I was talking too much about it. And, well, I must have forgotten that this is my fucking podcast and I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. And, it's like better to be honest, I think. So although like I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I did not stop talking about the breakup. I don't regret that because I was being honest. I'm like having a hard time and I'm allowed to have a hard time and I'm allowed to talk about whatever I want. So it's been hard being home without him. It's like strange. He like fit in really well with my family. And so I think that part's kind of hard is like, the memories. I mean, the last 4 Christmases that I celebrated were with him always and his family. And it's like, it's just very different. Like when we do things as a family that we would originally do with him, he fit in like a puzzle piece. He just like had the same sense of humor of everybody else. My family is not very nice. They're mean people. Not like mean, but like we joke, we make fun of everyone. And he like just fit like right into that. And, yeah, I don't know. I've been having a bit of a hard time with it. It comes in waves for sure. What the worst part is it'll like hit me when I'm not expecting it. When like someone will like ask me to do something that, we would always do home together. Or I'm trying to think. The other night my dad's like, you want to watch a movie? And I was like laying on the couch. And like my dad's sitting on the couch. And we're like looking at the TV, about to watch a movie. And I just like got like a little emotional, which is weird because like it's just a fucking movie. But it was like, we're like sitting here scrolling movies. And I'm not like a movie person at all. I really don't watch movies, but he was like, he's very much a movie buff, very much could sit on the couch for like all day and binge anything and watch like all the fucking Avengers movies back to back to back. Like very much a movie guy. And so is my dad. My family is too. Like they're very like all the time. Like, do you want to watch a movie? I'm like, I would like to do anything other than watch a movie. Like I don't want to sit down and shut up for 2 hours. That's like my worst nightmare. I actually never want to shut up. I don't want to do a silent activity. It's like not me. But they very much are. They like want to sit around and watch movies, which is fine. It's like, that's like the cozy Christmas thing to do. But that was very much him too. He was like, yes, like let's sit down and watch fucking 4 movies back to back. And I don't know, it just like brought back those feelings of like, thinking about him being here and he's not. So that's been a little bit different. It's been, just kind of hard. It's been like bringing up old feelings that I guess like I, maybe forgot about or wasn't expecting. But I haven't been home yet. So I haven't been, home and single without him in a long time. So it's just like strange, very weird to not have him around. This holiday, I am anxious to go to Michigan, just like with my aunts and uncles and my cousins, just because of like the anxiety of someone asking me about him. I mean, I'm excited to go. Don't get me wrong. Like basically, long story short, I have a really, really big family on my dad's side. He has 9 brothers and sisters. I have like 33 cousins. It's like ridiculous. There's like a lot of people. And I have family all over the country. They're like kind of spread out everywhere. I'm the baby of like my cousins. So of those 33 cousins, they're like, a lot of them are adults, married. They have their own kids. So like we're talking about a lot of people at this event. And such a big family that actually the people who live out of state, it's supposed to be like every other year that we come home, which is why I end up coming home this year, because on every odd year is when they all come home. So I was like, I might as well go home this year, because what if I want to go home next year and then I come home and nobody's here? I'll be like sad. So I was like, all right, let me come home and see everybody. And also I didn't want to stay in LA, and like for fear of being sad about the breakup, being sad in LA on Christmas. And so that's also kind of why I came home. But my family's really cool on that side of the family. I don't think anyone's like very invasive or whatever. And I think if they know for the most part about the breakup, they probably won't ask. But it's like I moved out to California with him. And so I don't know. It's like we obviously also broke up, and like then we moved out. And it's like, I don't know. I think it'll be fine. Like, I don't have an issue with anybody asking me about it by any means. Like, if anyone's like, hey, what happened there? Like, are you doing okay? Like, whatever. I'm not like upset with anybody, but it's more like, since I've been home, I've been a little bit more emotional about it, more emotional than usual. And so I don't want, and I don't want anyone to make me cry. Like, you know what the worst thing is? The worst thing is like when you start to cry and you like don't want to be crying. You're like talking with your friend, or you're like explaining a situation, and you're like, I don't like want to be crying right now. I just want to be hanging out with my friend, but I'm like sad and I can't like stop myself from crying. It's like so annoying. I hate that. I'm like, God, just like, yeah, that annoys me. And so I hope that nobody like asks me anything that like throws me off and triggers me and makes me like start to tear up, because I don't like, I just don't like, I don't cry in front of a lot of people. It's like not my favorite thing. I would prefer to cry, you know, at home alone in my bed like everybody else. Like, I don't like need anybody to look at me. I don't want anybody to like, I don't need to share that moment with anybody. I say as I literally put a video of me crying on TikTok. But that honestly, that was easier than crying in front of somebody else, because it's like, it wasn't in front of anybody. It's like it happened and then later I put it on social media. I don't know. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about that. Because I was texting one of my friends and I was like, I'm having a hard time. Like, I'm thinking about Corbin and I'm sad. And he was like, you know, like, just feel your feelings. This isn't a big deal. You know, it's not surprising that being in a different location, a different environment where you haven't been in a while, you haven't been single and without him, it's not surprising that these feelings will start to come up. So just kind of feel them, you know, let them pass. It is what it is. And he was like, if you like need your family to stop talking about him or asking about him, like, you know, just ask him, you know, like whatever. But I was like, I don't even like want that. Like, I don't want them to stop asking about him or talking about him, because I don't want him like erased yet. Like, I don't want to not talk about him. My parents actually have this digital photo frame thing. Obviously, since I moved to California, they're like, send pictures of this or whatever. And so Corbin and I would send pictures to it. And so now I'm like sitting in my parents' living room, like this fucking picture frame. This digital picture frame is under my parents' TV. And like every other photo is of him and I. I'm like, well, this is great. This is the front of my mind this whole day. It's fine. I mean, I guess I probably could get on the app and like remove them, but I don't know. And then there's like this ice cream shop here that's really good, and he like loved it. And he loved these chocolate covered pretzels from there. And like everybody likes this ice cream shop. So like, of course, we've gone since I've been here, and I'm just like, I don't know. But I was telling my friend, I was like, I'm a little anxious about like seeing like my family at holiday parties and like people asking about it. And he was like, well, like that might be inevitable. You know, we might not be able to get out of that one. But he was like, maybe start thinking about what you want to say. Like, you know, maybe start to think about answers, like prep some answers for yourself. That way you don't have to be like taken aback, which I haven't done, by the way. I was thinking about doing it live for you guys during this action. I haven't thought of a single thing that I would say. But I guess if someone says like, you know, are you still with Corbin? You know, the answer can just be no, we broke up, you know. if anybody asks what happened, I can just give like I'm not like worried about answering these questions. I don't really care. It's not like I don't want people to know. It's not even that I don't want to talk about it. It's just that I don't want to accidentally cry. And it's like the one thing I just don't want to do. So it's like, if I don't get emotional, then it's fine. Because usually for the most part, for the last 6 months we've been broken up, I haven't like been getting emotional about it. But as of lately, and being here in the holidays and Christmas, and it's like a very lovey and snuggly time. And it's like, I don't even know, it's like strange, like Christmas shopping and not like thinking about like what I would get him and stuff, and it's just weird. And so I don't know what kind of questions people would ask. Actually, when I was home for my grandpa's funeral back in June, my uncle was like, are you still with Corbin? And I was like, the fuck kind of question is that? I was like kind of offended a little bit. I don't know why, but I was like a little bit like, what does that mean? Like, I moved out here with him, like I live with him, like obviously we're still together. And then, you know, irony came around and was like, you dumb idiot. So I guess if someone asks me that, then it's just like, I don't feel the need to say more than I have to. I don't owe anybody an explanation. And also I think it's important to know, like, if any of you are like having this dilemma of like, you know, the dreadful invasive questions from family members, and you're like kind of anxious about it. I think it's important to know, like, it's totally okay and appropriate for you to respectfully say, I don't really want to talk about that. Like, you don't owe anybody anything. And there's a lot of different solutions to this problem. You can divert the conversation. You can give a quick answer and then talk about something else. You know, I could say like, oh, we broke up, like, but how are you? Those are all options too, if you want to like keep the peace. But I think what's important to note is it's not the societal pressure of keeping the mood light isn't on your shoulders either. Like, you don't owe anybody like oh no, like, it's not a big deal, like, let's not talk about it, like, you know, like the fear of making other people uncomfortable, it's not your job. You don't have to make sure that everybody's comfortable. And so if somebody is being really, really invasive, and luckily I don't think that I will have this problem, my family's really not that invasive. Like, they'll ask me questions, and my response to anyone asking me questions is ask away. Like, some people will be like, oh, like, I wasn't sure if you're comfortable. Like, may I ask about this? And I'll be like, you can ask me anything. Always. I'm an open book. But two, if I don't want to answer, all I ask is that you respect that. So if you ask me something and I just say, you know, I don't really want to talk about that, as long as you respect that, you can ask me anything in the world. And I can also like decline to respond. And this can all be like a respectful, it doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be like, why the fuck would you ask me that? Like, I encourage people to ask me questions. And I ask questions too. I love asking people questions, but I also try to tread lightly and not make people uncomfortable, because I know that not everybody is as open a book as me. But I think asking questions is like, if it comes from a place of like genuine curiosity, I think it's like, it promotes human connection. Like, you know what I mean? It's only gonna make us closer together. And so I usually appreciate it when people ask me questions, and I usually don't take it as like them being nosy. I think I usually take it as like they're genuinely curious and interested in me and how I'm doing. And that's a lovely thing. Even if it's making me uncomfortable, or even if it's not something that I want to talk about, it's totally okay for me to say, I don't really want to talk about that right now. And the people who love you and care about you will totally respect that and be like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, you know, and you can say, you don't have to be sorry, you know, let's just talk about something else. And then you can talk about something else. Like, it doesn't have to be this whole big thing. But I know it's really hard around the holidays. I know a lot of people's families aren't like that, or you have like some, you know, that one specific aunt or uncle who's like very pushy and insists on knowing your business, or would get offended if you said like, I don't really want to talk about that. But you can't take that shit personally. You really can't. Like, I was talking to my brother the other day about like protecting your peace. And I was like, I stopped letting people have control over my emotions like a couple years ago. I feel like in high school I was bad about that, but college I got better because it was too exhausting for me. Like, I just like, my emotional state of well-being is more important than anything else. And so if other people are going to like, you know, freak out, get in my face or whatever, or get emotional about stuff, like, you don't have control over my emotions anymore. Like, I'm relieving myself of that. Just in the same, this might seem a little unrelated, but it's not. Well, maybe it is. Well, either way, I was telling my brother, I was like, I used to answer the phone right away, always. And it gave me a lot of anxiety to not answer my phone. Like, as soon as it went off, I would grab it. I'd have to see who it is. I'd have to see what they need. I'd respond. Like, I would feel bad ignoring people and or like not responding right away. I don't mean like straight up ignoring for like days. I mean like right in that minute that I see that their text, I felt like I had to respond. I felt like the pressure of tending to everyone all at once. And this is like, a modern issue with having a cell phone, like this issue didn't always exist, but people don't deserve access to you 24/7. And so finally, eventually, as I got older, I was like, people don't have access to me 24/7. I don't have to answer anybody right away. And I actually tend to leave people undelivered for a little bit. And I will purposely not read the message so that I have the notification so that I will respond when I have time or when I'm in a clear headspace to answer. But I've really trained my brain, and I had to work on this too. If my phone's going off, I train my brain to sit with it, to hear it ring, to let it ring. Let it ring and let it go to voicemail and that was hard. That was a difficult thing for me to, like, I used it once my phone was ringing, I would get like anxiety looking at it and not answering it. I actually did the same thing. This bothers people a lot. I did the same thing with my alarm. And if my college roommate's listening to this, she's like, yeah, no shit you did. No shit you did. But even like right now, like when I do laundry, I've shared laundry at my apartment in Los Angeles. So I have to I set like a timer for my laundry, and then when it goes off, I obviously go get it. But I have trained my brain to not react so well that let's say I'm doing the dishes and my hands are all wet and the timer's going off. I've trained my brain to be calm and just let the alarm go off as I finish washing my hands, wipe them off, grab a towel, and then turn it off. Like I relieved myself of this like angsty pressure of like, oh my God, like the timer's going off, like it's loud, like it keeps going, like my hands are wet. Oh, I need to like touch my phone. Oh, my phone isn't going because my hands are wet, and now the like fucking thing isn't going. Like, I don't know. I used to live like with a stick up my ass. I just like really did. And I don't know why or what did this to me. But like I used to like things going off like that used to really cause reactions in me. And I don't know how I did it, but I just really trained myself to like, if an alarm was going off, like, Amber, you can let it ring a few times and turn it off. And it's hilarious the reaction that other people give me when they see me do this, because they're like, you're a psychopath. You are literally unwell. That's so fucked up that you can just listen to this alarm go off for like a full 5 minutes and not like freak out or have to turn it off. I'm like, I am a psycho to an extent, for sure. But I've given myself a gift of like peace of mind. Like, I don't know. I just like, I used to be so angsty and now I don't do that anymore. And it's been life changing. I'm like much more chill. I'm like less anxious all the fucking time. But anyways, okay, yeah. So that kind of got off topic for a little bit, but protect your peace. And it's the same thing with other people. If other people are asking you questions, if they're pressuring you, all the fun holiday questions, are you going to have kids soon? Are you getting married soon? Are you moving in soon? What job are you getting? When are you going to get a real job? Blah, blah, blah. All the shit that's like really nobody else's business. Protect your peace with it and give whatever fucking response you want. Like it's honestly, as long as you're being respectful and your tone of voice is okay, it's totally okay with me if you were to say, that's not really any of your business. Like if you feel like someone's asking you like an out of line question that's like not appropriate and they probably know that you wouldn't want to be asked that, I think it's totally okay to say, that's not really any of your business. In a respectful tone, go for it. Or like I said earlier, like, I don't really want to talk about that right now. Like any of those things, as long as you can keep your cool, you'll be giving yourself a gift. It's a gift to not lose your shit. Like it's a gift when somebody else is like pestering you and asking you all this shit and being nosy. It's a gift to yourself to not give them that reaction of like, to not give them the tea or to not like be like, can you shut the fuck up? Like give yourself that relaxation and peace and just be like, you don't have control over my emotions. You don't. You can ask me whatever you want. I don't have to answer. You can say whatever you want. I don't have to react. You can actually if you want to, you can just physically remove yourself from the environment. If something's just getting really uncomfortable and whatever, it's too much, you can actually just excuse yourself and just be like, you know what? I think I'm going to leave. I mean, I'm not really comfortable here anymore. I think something I've been working on lately is my relationship with myself and just like picking yourself over everybody else always, day in and day out. So if you're at an event and you're like, I'm just straight up not having a good time anymore, it's doing more like damage to me to stay than to go. Don't stick it out for anybody. Nobody wants that. And if anybody wants that, then they don't actually give a fuck about you. Like, don't ever stick it out. Like, always choose you, choose your peace of mind. And if you're like, you know what, being here is doing more bad than good, then leave. Then leave. You don't owe anybody shit this holiday season or any other time, for that matter of fact. So the shit that I'm working on this week is gonna be preparing for Christmas Eve and kind of hoping that questions aren't too, like, I don't know. Hopefully they don't spark anything in me too emotional, and kind of prepping some answers for myself and just preparing myself mentally and getting through the holiday and trying to focus on the good. It's hard not spending the holiday with someone that you always spend it with and always really enjoyed spending it with. It's difficult, and if that's some shit you're going through, I'm sorry, and I'm right there with you. But we can get through it. We can spend it together, you and me. So you don't need them. I don't need them. And shit, I'm wondering this week is, are you dreading your family bombarding you with any invasive questions? And what's your solution to this? Like, do you have your go-to? I'm pretty new to this. Being 23 years old, I feel like it really starts after college is when people start with when are you gonna get a job? What is your career? Where are you moving to? I mean, as soon as Corbin and I graduated college, like at the graduation, one of his family members was like, when are you guys getting married? And I was like, what? I was like, why? I really didn't care much for that question. And it didn't seem appropriate, especially at my graduation. But it seems like as soon as I finished college, like that's when all of this stuff started to come in. So I'm really grateful for the most part, to be honest with you. I have a really good family. They're actually really cool. And they are just, I think any questions that they were to ask me would come from genuine curiosity and not like nosiness looking for the tea. Like, I don't think that's the case at all. So try to pay attention to people's intentions, though. Pay attention to your family members' intentions. And if their intentions are bad and they're just looking for the drama and the tea and the scoop, you don't know them shit. You really don't. And if they're coming from a place of genuine curiosity, they're just overstepping and maybe they're unaware, just let them know. Just let them know. So communication's like, I feel like the best way to go about it. But it's hard. Holidays are kind of hard, and especially with society, they're dressed up to be these fluffy, snuffy, little happy, the holidays are the best. And it's hard when everybody else is like, Christmas time, yay, holidays. It's hard when everybody's so yippee skippy about it and you're not feeling that way because of, certain circumstances. So if that's what you're going through, I'm right there with you. I'm trying to focus on the good and keep moving forward. So that's what I'm up to this week. If you want to hear more from me, see more from me, you can follow me at Amber Meisner with 2 R's on Instagram and TikTok. And I will see you on the next one because holidays definitely are still hard.